3 years. 1,095 days living like a ghost, sleeping in borrowed apartments. No name, no face, no existence. A man who built an empire in the Naples underworld, who survived gang wars, betrayals, and police operations, whom the Camorra swore to protect at any cost. Not because of an informant, not because of a leak, not because of a €1 million intelligence operation, because of a pizza, a margherita, 850 sex, cheese, tomato, basil. The simplest dish in Italian cuisine. The most expensive mistake in the history of the Neapolitan Camorra. My name doesn't matter, but the file sitting in front of me tonight. This one does. Case number 003. Roberto Manganiello, boss of the Orda di Atella clan, captured on April 16th, 2016. Welcome to X-Case. Tonight, you're going to understand how an untouchable criminal empire collapsed because of a habit, a routine, a Sunday pizza. Because in organized crime, every routine is a trap waiting to be triggered. To understand the capture, you need to understand the system. Orta di Atella, a municipality of 25,000 people in the Caserta region, just a few miles outside Naples. On the map, it looks like any other town in southern Italy. Narrow streets, old buildings, squares with fountains, a Vespa parked on every corner. But Orta di Atella is not an ordinary town. It's a territory. And territory, in the Camorra's vocabulary, means one thing only: absolute control. The Orta di Atella clan had dominated this municipality for 3 decades. Not just the crime, everything. Shopkeepers paid protection money. Public officials looked the other way. Neighbors knew everything and saw nothing. It was a living organism, and Manganiello was the brain. But in 2013, the brain needed to disappear. An investigation by the Italian Interior Ministry placed Manganiello on the list of the 100 most dangerous criminals in Italy. Arrest warrant, active manhunt, his name in the papers. For most people, that would have been the end. For Manganiello, it was just a change in protocol. The vedette system. This was the first layer of protection. Children and teenagers strategically positioned at 47 street corners throughout the neighborhood, each one with a cheap prepaid phone. Each one with a single job: watch and report. An unknown car enters the neighborhood. 47 alerts fired in 9 seconds. The police never moved in without him knowing. Never. Second layer, the ghost protocol. Manganiello never stayed in the same apartment for more than 8 weeks. He'd move within the same 800-meter radius, always inside the clan's controlled territory, but never stationary, never predictable. 0 digital footprint, no cell phone registered in his name, no bank account, no social media, no presence in the digital world whatsoever. Documents forged by the organization itself. Cover name: Marco Esposito. Occupation: electrician. A completely ordinary man, completely invisible. Only 3 people knew where he was at any given moment. 3 absolutely trusted lieutenants. Minimal communication. Almost 0 in-person contact. For all practical purposes, Roberto Manganiello did not exist. But here's the problem with perfection. It demands absolute discipline, and absolute discipline means giving up everything you are. And Manganiello wasn't willing to give up everything. There were things he kept, rituals, habits from a normal life that he refused to abandon even while living underground. The most important of them, football. Roberto Manganiello was a die-hard SSC Napoli supporter. He never missed a match. Under any circumstances, in any hideout, he watched every single one. And when Napoli played, he ordered pizza. It took police 3 months to map that pattern. 6 recorded deliveries. Same address. Always Sunday. Always during match time. Always pizza. The surveillance didn't need an informant. Didn't need a wiretap. Didn't need a special operation. It needed patience and someone who knew how to look at the obvious. The internal name of the operation was never officially disclosed, but in the corridors of the Italian police, it became known as Operation Pizza Express. 3 months of quiet surveillance, 3 months of confirmations, 3 months waiting for the right window. And the right window had a name. Inter Milan versus SSC Napoli. April 16th, 2016. Match day 33 of the Italian Championship. The police knew it when Napoli played. Roberto Manganiello let his guard down. Because overconfidence isn't just any weakness. It's the terminal illness of every criminal who stays at the top too long. Manganiello believed the neighborhood was impenetrable. A phrase intercepted on a wire from one of his lieutenants said exactly that. No cop sets foot in here without us knowing. They watched for cars. They watched for familiar faces. They watched for suspicious behavior. But they never watched the pizza delivery bike. Because nobody suspects the guy bringing food. April 16th, 2016. Milan. San Siro Stadium. 8:45 p.m. Inter Milan versus SSC Napoli. A decisive match in the 33rd round of the Italian Championship. 80,000 fans packed into the stadium. Millions watching on television across the country. In Naples, in the bars, in the homes, in the streets. Everyone was with Napoli that night. 340 kilometers to the south, in Orta di Atella. Roberto Manganiello was alone in his living room. Curtains drawn, TV on, Napoli on the pitch. And the pizza already ordered. The planning was surgical. Every detail mattered. Authentic uniform. Not a replica. The actual uniform from a well-known pizzeria in the neighborhood, acquired by the operation weeks in advance. Civilian motorcycle. Not an undercover police vehicle. A regular bike with no markings, regularly seen in the area, so as not to trigger the vedette lookout posts. Real pizza, ordered from the very same local pizzeria that Manganiello used for deliveries. Fresh margherita, straight out of the oven, because the smell had to be right. Because any wrong detail could set off the alarm. The officer assigned to the infiltration rehearsed every single detail. The posture of a tired delivery driver at the end of his shift. The way to hold the thermal bag. The casual doorstep greeting. At 8:53 p.m., the motorcycle pulled out toward the target. 7 vedette checkpoints along the route. 7 moments where everything could fall apart. The first kid looked up, recognized the red pizzeria uniform, looked away. The second one didn't even lift his eyes from his phone. The third, the fourth, the fifth, all indifferent, all fooled by the same logic. A pizza delivery guy is not a threat. The sixth and seventh, same result. No alert, no message sent. The ghost was inside the perimeter. 8:58 p.m. The officer stopped the bike in front of the building, climbed the stairs. Third floor corridor. Door number 12. The doorbell rang. On the other side of the door, Roberto Manganiello got up from the couch, unhurried, relaxed, expecting his pizza. He walked to the door, looked through the peephole. Red uniform, thermal bag, relaxed posture. And here, Manganiello made his first fatal mistake. He didn't check the peephole with his detective, usual caution. He was distracted. The match was on. The pizza had arrived. It was time to get back to the couch. The security chain came off. Manganiello was in his socks, casual clothes, a folded €10 bill in his hand. The officer extended the box. Manganiello grabbed it with both hands. And at this exact moment, hands occupied, attention split, body in the most vulnerable position possible. The door at the end of the corridor exploded open. 3 agents in black, vests marked Polizia, speed and absolute precision. Detective, on the ground, police, get down. Manganiello tried to back into the apartment. He didn't make it to the window. 8 seconds.
A quick cross into
That
the
was
box,
the time
and it's
between the
saved
first
by the
command
keeper.
and the
What a
handcuffs.
match.
8 seconds to end 3 years on the run. 9:01 p.m. Roberto Manganiello, 35 years old, boss of the Orda Diatella clan, one of the 100 most dangerous criminals in Italy, was pinned to the floor of his own living room. On the TV behind him, the scoreboard had changed. Inter Milan 2, SASC Napoli 0.
Are you Mr.
The evidence
Manganiello?
team
Yeah,
arrived
that's me.
minutes later. The apartment inventory was swift. 2 semi-automatic pistols on the coffee table. 15,000 Aryan banknotes scattered across the couch. 7 fake identities in a bedroom drawer. And on the floor, near the door, where it had fallen when the handcuffs went on, an open pizza box. Margherita, untouched. Investigators reconstructed Manganiello's 3 mistakes from that night. Not 1, not 2. 3 simultaneous errors, each one fatal on its
Here's your
own.
pizza.
Oh,
Together,
Thanks. Keep the change.
inevitable. Mistake number 1, he opened the door by himself, without properly checking through the peephole. The urgency of the match, the anticipation of the pizza, they broke a protocol he had followed for 3 years. Mistake number 2, his bodyguards were off duty. Match day was rest day for personal security, a concession that seemed reasonable inside a controlled neighborhood, a concession that cost him everything. Mistake number 3, he didn't question the uniform. The surveillance system had created a false sense of total security. If the delivery guy made it past the vedette posts, he had to be legitimate. Perfect logic. Completely wrong. The ritual killed him. The predictable routine. The habit he refused to let go of. The morning after, April 17th, 2016, Italian Interior Minister Angelino Alfano posted on Twitter, "Colpo alla Camorra di Caserta. Arrestato latitante." Strike against the Caserta Camorra. Fugitive arrested. The tweet hit 41,000 likes and over 12,000 retweets within hours. But it was in the comments that Italy showed its true character. National newspaper headlines needed no further commentary. La pizza che lo ha tradito. The pizza that betrayed him. Catturato per una margherita. Captured because of a margherita. Quando l'amor per la pizza supera l'amor per la libertà. When the love of pizza outweighs the love of freedom. The Italian internet showed no mercy. 15,000 memes in 48 hours. 3 million shares. The photo of a pizza with handcuffs became one of the most viral memes in recent Italian history. Roberto Manganiello, who spent 3 years building the identity of a ghost, of a man who didn't exist, who had no face and no name, became a national punchline. But the real damage went far beyond the memes. With Manganiello behind bars, what investigators had anticipated came to pass. He negotiated. In exchange for a reduced sentence, he provided detailed information about the clan's structure, names, addresses, ongoing operations. Within 3 weeks, 6 lieutenants of the Orta Diatella clan were arrested in separate operations. The extortion racket that pulled in €2 million a year was completely dismantled. The living organism of Orta Diatella had taken a blow it would take years to recover from. And then there's the collateral damage, the kind nobody planned for. The pizzeria that unwittingly provided cover for the operation lost 40% of its customers in the weeks that followed. The word infame, traitor, was spray, painted on the entrance wall. The owner, completely innocent, paid the price of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. The final irony. The pizzeria never even knew it had been used in the operation. They found out through the papers, just like everyone else. Roberto Manganiello was sentenced to 12 years in maximum security prison. No television. No Sunday pizza. No Napoli. Some cases go down in history for their brutality, for their complexity, for their scale. And some cases go down in history for their irony. Roberto Manganiello built one of the most sophisticated protection systems ever documented for a fugitive on Italian soil, a 47-point human surveillance network, a hideout rotation protocol, zero digital footprint, minimal communication, forged identity. 3 years running without a single breach. Dismantled by a habit, by a Sunday with Napoli on the pitch, by a doorbell at 8:58 p.m. The lesson here isn't about pizza. The lesson is about what investigators call a behavioral window. Every human being, no matter how disciplined, maintains rituals. And every ritual is, by definition, predictable. Predictable means vulnerable. Manganiello knew this. He taught it to members of his own clan, and still, he couldn't apply it to himself. Because comfort is a luxury that fugitives cannot afford, because every routine is a trap, quietly waiting for the right moment. And the right moment, on that night, was a doorbell ringing at 8:58 p.m., with Napoli on the TV and a hot margherita on its way up the stairs. Sleep tight, if you can. Case closed.